I have no idea how to deal with big groups of people. As much as I believe that I'm decently socially competent and that I have a shit ton of friends, when I'm in a big group of people, especially people that I'm acquaintances with, it's so difficult for me to discern who to talk to, what to say, how am I supposed to connect with everyone in this fucking room, and I have an expectation of myself to perform well, even though it doesn't really matter in the end. I have an expectation of myself to try to connect with people, and because of the amount of fucking choices I have, since the group is so fucking big, I don't know where to start, and the anxiety and the confusion gets to me. And this is not a video where I bring you some sort of solution, but simply talk about my experiences and how I've dealt with it, and how sometimes I have decent success and how sometimes I don't. Dealing with a big group is fucking exhausting, man. Like, when you know everybody, like barely, you've greeted them once or twice, it gets so frustrating, especially if you're somebody who's somewhat socially anxious, because you know all these people to some surface level, and if you are away from the group, you are less concerned about how you appear and also how you deal with certain situations. Then when that happens, let's say you have already waved to somebody before and you are in a different environment where it's just you and that other person, it's way easier to start a conversation, to just sit there and talk with that person. But if that person has other options to go to, other people that they can just leave you for, then it starts to feel really weird, because in a big group, when you walk up to someone and start a conversation, in 30 seconds they can walk off, and that could affect how you feel, because you choose to kind of attach your self-esteem to whether that person stays with you or not. Then that irritates you a little bit already. Then looking at the room and knowing that you know everybody and you could speak to anybody, that humongous fucking array of opportunities and options just confuse the fuck out of you. You don't know where to start, you don't know who to begin speaking to, you don't know which group to join, you don't even know what you want to say to these people, like catch up with them. You barely know them, so you can't even go up to them and say, how are you, how's the family? You don't fucking know these people, so what do you even say? So this big group kind of thing is so confusing to me. When I go out with a group of acquaintances and we sit in a round table and we're all talking and things like that, I have no idea what to say, because it feels like these people already know each other. So what am I supposed to do? Like suddenly prop up and ask about, what they do for a living, suddenly prop up and go, how's day-to-day life? What do you do in your free time? I have no idea what to say. And I know that saying these things aren't even that weird. You're just trying to get to know people. But it just feels so deliberate, and it feels like there's so much friction to it. And I know plenty of people are also dealing with this as well, just that maybe they are less deliberate than us. They are less concerned with how they can solve this issue rather than just sitting in it and letting it pass. But we want to do well in these situations because we want to connect with more people. So we have to find some sort of solution. And I know that just genuine curiosity questions are just absolutely amazing. And sometimes we don't have the capacity for that, or we tend to overthink. But if we are able to kind of let ourselves go and just focus on connection and curiosity, maybe we'll do much better. Maybe these questions are only weird because of social constructs in our head. And honestly, they're perhaps not that weird at all, because we are just trying to get to know people. The hardest part, I feel, is that when I'm with these people, I've already went out with them a couple of times, but I've never got the chance to show my interest, or during that time I was just, too much in my own head to open up and start showing curiosity in other people. And it's so hard to show curiosity with people across the table, where you get everybody's attention just to speak to that one person across the table about what they do in their free time. Like, that just feels so uncomfortable and unnatural. But I think that a lot of us, we struggle with big groups because of the array of opportunities, right? So we have to focus on just showing curiosity, showing interest in the people immediately around us, and just be okay with that. Be okay with not being able to connect with everyone. Be okay with just focusing on one or two people that you really just want to get to know that day. And just having the belief and the abundance mindset that you're going to have another opportunity to connect with everyone. Do what you can right now. Do what is immediately available to you. Don't put so much friction into it, like, oh, I want to speak to this person, that person, I don't know what to ask them, saying this could be weird. I barely know this person, maybe I should try to talk to them. Instead of thinking about the whole situation as something so wide and vast and difficult to conquer. You can think about it as, what do I want to do right now? What do I actually want to do? Who do I want to connect with genuinely? And who am I genuinely interested in and curious about? Then you just focus on that the entire day that you're there. It sounds like you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table, but I find that when I do subconsciously focus on just, a group of people or a small amount of people, and this big group is going to be a group that I'm going to be with for quite an extended period of time, I just let go of that, humongous amount of confusion just because of the huge amount of opportunity. I perform so much better, and in fact I get to know even more people than I aim to, just because I was able to show genuine interest and just not think about the opportunities, not think about the way I present myself, not overthink about everything, every small little detail, and just show curiosity in people. And when you're able to do that, when you're able to really think about, what am I curious about this person, even if it's the most random thing, like, what is this person doing after this event, Am I the only one who's just going to go back home and sleep, and then you genuinely inquire that about other people? What are you doing after this, by the way? And then maybe they say, oh, right after this I'm going to sleep. Then you can connect with that. You can kind of show further interest in that. Oh, are you somebody who sleeps early all the time? Are you this? These social skills matter to an extent. But at some point, it just becomes genuine interest and curiosity, especially if you're somebody with like unlimited resources, unlimited fame. Pretend you're that way. Pretend you have unlimited power. You don't need to care about what this person thinks of you. You don't need to succumb to, whatever this person thinks of you or thinks negatively about you or whatever, what the group thinks about you. Let's say you're already abundant as fuck and you don't care about what these people think. What will you be genuinely curious about? Of course, if you don't really care about these people think, if you really don't care about what these people think, maybe you wouldn't even be hanging out with them. Maybe you wouldn't even be speaking to any of them because they don't align with your values. But out of pure curiosity, there's no way, there's no small bone in you that wants to kind of probe at these people, ask certain questions, or be, connected with them in a group. If you genuinely did not care what they think, you will still want some human connection, whether you click with them or not. And when you're able to show genuine curiosity, that's where things start to click and things start to, connect the dots. Because you find that if you just lean into your curiosity, you low-key, technically, will never run out of things to say. There's just a lot of perceived barriers that stop you from asking certain questions. Like, for example, when you speak to a girl or something like that, you are scared of asking the question of, maybe, do you have a boyfriend? Because first, you don't want to find out if she actually has a boyfriend. Second, you don't want to make it awkward and make it seem like you're trying to ask her out or something like that. But if you're genuinely curious about it, and you have the courage to speak it, you have the courage to inquire about things you're genuinely curious about, you're just going to make conversations so much more fluid. And even if she goes, why, are you trying to take me out? And you just go, I don't know, maybe. And it really doesn't matter in the end. Pretend these people have nothing on you and hold yourself in that capacity. And if you're able to do that to some extent, of course, if you didn't care at all, you'll probably become an absolute menace. You walk up to somebody and go like, what's your dick size? What's your tit size? And that will be absolute sexual harassment. So, of course, you're going to care a little bit, but ideally, you try to release that barrier to as big of an extent as possible, and you show genuine interest. You be curious about things to an extent. And as you go more and more with this, you'll be able to understand more and more social cues, and you'll be able to understand more and more what works. And when you become less confused, when it becomes less anxious, and you understand what you can say and what you can't, and what people respond well to, that's when things just start becoming way more fun. I'm not perfectly experienced at this. I still struggle like crazy, but it is this genuine curiosity that really brings me out of my shell, really makes things way more easier, and makes things way less confusing. Every time I'm in a big group, I think about how well I need to perform, how many people I need to speak to, what I need to do to appear as someone who is social and someone who is approachable. And because I'm thinking about all of that nonsense, instead of trying to be genuinely curious with the people I'm genuinely curious about, it just creates a whole bunch of headache, a whole bunch of unnecessary confusion, and a whole bunch of inaction. So if you're able to let go of all of this and just be genuinely curious and just put yourself where you need to be, that's all you need to do. And your social skills will develop by its own as you put yourself out there more and more. And as you have the courage to stick yourself in the face of potential failure or perception or judgment and just sit there and be interested. That's all you need to do. That's what I think. You got this. I love you. It's a better work.